And we're talking about what's happening in Atlanta, Georgia, with the ongoing attempted construction of this Cop City, what activists and organizers are calling Cop City, which is a $90 million. Is that the right price tag, gang? Chat, correct me if I have misstated that, but I believe the price tag is $90 million for a brand new sprawling campus for Atlanta police to train. I believe for the feds to come train. It's going to be an open training ground in the middle of Atlanta, right? The problem is there is a sprawling urban canopy in the way, okay? Lots of trees, an old growth forest that is home to, wildlife and shit. And as Atlanta continues to grow as a dense population center, the existence of this forest remains pretty critical to helping to offset some of the environmental factors that can make climate change worse or make it be felt and experienced worse for the residents there. The trees absorb heat in the summer, the trees are there to absorb excess rainwaters and potential floodwaters. I mean, the forest has a purpose, okay? The forest has never been an impediment to people being able to live around it. But the problem is that there have been arrests made this week for the Atlanta Forest Defenders. There have had people there maintaining a persistent vigil, so to speak, and a presence in the forest, occupying the trees, becoming tree sitters, and making it so that contractors and construction crews cannot just come and tear down the trees and cut down the trees while there's people occupying those trees. So it was this week that five organizers from the Atlanta Forest Defenders were themselves arrested, I believe, by DeKalb County District Attorney and charged with domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism. Big up to our Black Power Media comrade, Kamal K. Franklin, who is executive director. Like, is Kamal the HNIC? is that on his business card? HNIC? No, I know it's not that kind of group, but the HNIC and the CMB, the Cash Money Brothers. Like, I'm just kidding, Kamal. The community movement builders down there in Atlanta, along with a lot of other different organizations, have been trying to stop Cop City, stop the building of this Cop City. When the city council, the Atlanta City Council, first went to vote on it, they showed up and made it clear that the people did not want this, and the people still do not want this, but yet the city of Atlanta, the Atlanta Police Foundation, they continue to move forward, and now they have, in fact, ratcheted up the attacks on protesters. So there was a press conference this week, and we talked a little bit about this on Black Power Media on the remix. And Kamau, and I encourage you to go back. Fuck, what was that? Today's Wednesday. Wednesday's the Remix Morning Show. I think. Was it Thursday? God damn it! I don't know what day. Just watch all three shows. How about that? Watch Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week of the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media, and you'll see Kamau gave a more of an in-depth explainer. But I wanted us to hear actually what was said at the press conference. And thank you so much to Vesper. Vesper, thank you. Vesper was tagging me like crazy on these clips. And I said, oh, these are good clips. Thank you, Vesper. And let me give credit before we run these clips to journalist Nolan, who shot these clips, and also credit to the Atlanta Community Press Collective. And shout out to Nolan H. Uber Rhodes. I'm sorry, Nolan, but Nolan is an independent journalist there in Atlanta and does work with the Atlanta Community Press Collective. And these are their videos from this press conference. And guys, listen to this shit. How long is this, Will? Is this 6 minutes? It's quality. Now, y'all know I don't never subject y'all to 5 or 6 for 4 minutes, 7 minutes of nothing if it's not like quality, good shit. How long is this, Will? It doesn't matter how long it is. Actually, Will, never mind. Don't tell me. It's going to be a surprise for everybody. It's going to be a surprise to everybody. So we're actually going to hear from a couple different folks. The first gentleman, my deepest apologies. I do not know who this is speaking. And if you guys know who it is speaking, you guys can feel free to pipe up and say that you know who it is. So, but the sister we're going to see, who's going to be the second speaker, is Jasmine from the Community Movement Builders. We know who Community Movement Builders are. And the last group is from, I believe, the Atlanta Bail Fund. So let's take a look at these clips shot by Nolan. Big up to the Atlanta Community Free Press Collective. The Atlanta Bail Fund has been documenting the police escalation tactics since this movement began. So let's start with listening to the speakers. Yo, guys, this is very good. Listen to this shit, because they dropped some gems on us. Let's go, Will.
The same city who could not have the will to fix the sewage system, where every time it rains more than a quarter of an inch in DeKalb County, you have a flood of sewage that goes into the South River. Now they're planning on flattening the forest that soaks up the water. What do you think is going to happen to our water supply? Do not let them convince you that they care about our lives when every single thing that they're doing shows us the exact opposite. Now, as you can see, the police have mobilized like never before to stop our protest in this press conference. I had to take a 30-minute detour to walk around here because they blocked off where we were initially going to have it. Now, despite everything that they've said about the police needing more funding, everything that they've said about the fears of defunding the police, we have all sorts of weapons, equipment, Bearcats, and I don't even know what kind of vehicles these are in Gresham Park right now. I've never seen police mobilize like this. I've never seen the city mobilize like this to shut down public, peaceful protest as they have today. This is pathetic. And we are asking for more, and we are saying stop Cop City. If you can't find the funding for people to be housed, for people to have the basic necessities, then this is a sham. These people do not care about you. They are simply protecting their interests. These police work as private security for private interests. Cut it now. Stop Cop City! In the wake of the largest protest against violent policing in the history of the world, you may be asking yourself, what has changed? The police officers who were caught on camera brutalizing AUC students have their jobs, so that has not changed. The officer who killed Rayshard Brooks has his job back and will probably be winning a civil suit, Garrett Roth, so that has not changed. What we have seen change is across the country, police are doubling down on violent tactics. As we saw chemical weapons used against nonviolent protesters sitting in trees just yesterday. Now, at the same time that Buckhead is moving to shut down private enterprises because they're making too much noise, the police that will be enforcing these things are moving into a militarized training facility that they're attempting to build in a black community on grounds that are already being used for bomb testing and shooting. So it is quite clear that the city has moved with its feet, showing who is entitled to peace and quiet in this city and who is not. This is what we are dealing with. When the next Rayshard Brooks is killed, do not let these politicians get on television and tell you how sorry they are, because they're setting the grounds for it right now. That is what we're dealing with in our city. And we must accept more. Black faces in high places are not enough. Mayor Dickens, you have been lukewarm. When it was politically expedient, you voted to reshift the money in the policing budget. When it was the hot commodity in summer of 2020, all of a sudden, you are mute. We are asking for more right now. There could not be a clearer demonstration of environmental racism.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Community Movement Builders because we stand in opposition to Cop City, to any expansion of policing or further militarization and surveillance of our own communities. Most immediately, we oppose the terroristic and brutal attack from the police on those who are defending the forest. As you all know, I think at least 5 people were arrested, 2 were forcibly removed from their tree sits at gunpoint, and many more were tortured with chemical weapons, right? This is just a fraction of what our communities will experience if Cop City is built, right? We recognize that Cop City is not being constructed so that the police can learn tactics to go after the corporations that are polluting our neighborhoods or practicing wage theft against low-wage workers, or go against the developers that are exploiting our communities and literally forcing people out of their homes due to rising rents and property taxes. No, they're going to be learning urban warfare tactics to harass our communities, to surveil us, to prevent us from doing things like gathering here today and letting the public know what's going on. You know, it's no coincidence that they've mobilized so quickly around an issue like this because they recognize that they need to expand their power so they can hold on to it, right? This is not a question, as we can see, either of black and white, right? This is a question about who has power and resources and who doesn't. As previous speakers have mentioned, it doesn't matter that we have a black city council people or black mayors, right? These are the same people who are shoving through legislation that people in Atlanta overwhelmingly do not support. People are asking for affordable housing, paving the streets, right? Having sidewalks, better access to MARTA, and instead they are supporting a project, a $90 million project to construct the largest urban warfare training facility in this country. And while we understand that this is a very local issue, right, it's happening right here, we also know that this is a national problem, this is a global problem. The same tactics that they're using against forest defenders are the same tactics that the Israeli government is using against Palestinians, right? The same tactics that the US military is employing in Africa through the AFRICOM program, right? This is a global struggle against the occupation of our communities here and globally. And so I think it's important for all of us to come together and make it clear that this fight is not over, right? Just because they're raiding the forest does not mean that we are laying down and accepting the construction of Cop City. This fight will continue, and it's important for all of us to get involved, to rally around those who were arrested yesterday, to demand their release, right? To materially support the organizations and groups that are fighting against Cop City, and also to defend this community, right? Because this community has historically been victims of over-policing. There's a juvenile detention center down the street. There's just a huge apparatus of policing in this community that they're experiencing even more of because the police have escalated their tactics against the fight to stop Cop City. And so Community Movement Builders, we are a Black liberation organization. We have been participating in this fight since we found out about it, and we encourage anyone who's watching this to also plug in and to demand that we stop Cop City.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much to Jasmine from Community Movement Builders and the first gentleman that spoke. And what where is the lie, everybody? Everything that they are doing to residents in Atlanta, black residents in Atlanta, is being done to them by black faces, backed by white resources and white dollars, white interests. I look at DC, I see the same thing. I look at Baltimore, I see the same thing. I see this black leadership, this black representation leading the black community straight down the fucking toilet, like leading us directly into the desires and whims of what white folks want to happen. White folks, well, not the radical whites, not our good white friends. You know I'm not talking about y'all, but the other white folks, y'all cracker cousins, yeah, y'all cracker kinfolk. They don't give a shit if roads and streets and sidewalks are not paved, if the infrastructure is not good in black Atlanta neighborhoods. They don't give a goddamn. What they want is that police academy to be constructed so the police can be redeployed in greater forces in our communities to keep our black asses in line. That is the whole point. And I am in such continued awe and admiration of what this resistance to the cop city in Atlanta has been. This has been sustained. This has been a year and some change, longer, and they are not giving up. Okay, and I'm so glad. Kamal communicated to us that the 5 that were arrested, I believe, were all white. And let me say, that's what white folks have to do. Okay, like white folks, I've said this time and time again, when it comes to these kinds of struggles, you will be treated less harshly usually than black bodies, than black folks, brown folks, right? The criminal justice system usually will be less harsh. This is not, applicable 100% across the board, because we know there's definitely some white political prisoners languishing in jails right now, but not as many. Not as many as they are the blacks and the browns. And usually the white folks will have the ability to have access to quality representation. Like we talked about on the morning show, the white defendants can go in there and white it up real good, get cleaned up, put your glasses on. The white guys, they get the I'm white and I'm in trouble haircut. where it's a little, the little part, and it goes, the swoopy swoop. I know y'all know exactly the haircut I'm referring to, that the white men will utilize when they are in trouble. And it's like, no, not me, not Todd, not Scott, not me, not anyway. But anyway, but I appreciate the white folks making sure it was them that went to jail behind this and not the black folks, because we know the criminal justice system is much more harsher with black folks, and we don't have quite the resources to represent ourselves in that way. But if you go to Kamal's page, either follow him on Twitter at Community Movement Builders or at Kamal Franklin, I think. He has the links there to the bail funds and to the legal defense funds for the Atlanta forest defenders who are now facing these domestic terrorism charges. And again, we will support them. We will support the comrades who have at this point, at this stage, sacrificed themselves for this movement. And yeah, and I appreciate them doing that. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you so